Hello, wonderful world. Welcome back to Enter the Metaverse. Today I'm joined with special guest Emily Miotto, who specializes in theta healing. Emily is a light worker and reprograms the subconscious mind to set up and become successful. So, Emily, thank you so much for joining the podcast today. And I just want to ask you how you're doing first.
I am doing wonderful. I mentioned you before, I just woke up from a nap, so feeling really great.
I feel like I woke up from a nap because I'm words are hard sometimes. So I want to ask you how you got into, because you do a business called Theta Healing, and what is Theta Healing and how you got into it.
Yeah, so a lot of people actually don't know about theta healing. It's been around for about 20 plus years, but it's one of the lesser known energy healing modalities. The best way I can describe it is that our own reality comes down to beliefs and energy. So our beliefs is what's going to shape how we see the world, and our energy is our emotions. So whatever we are feeling is what we're going to be attracting back to us, like attracts like. We can talk about the universal laws later, but the simplest way to put it is that we attract the energy we give out. So what happens is that as we are growing up, between the ages of 0 and 7, we are primarily in this altered brainwave state of theta. And we are like little energetic sponges that absorb everything around us. And it gets programmed into our mind as rules to follow in order to survive. Our subconscious mind's goal is to keep us safe and from any threat that's out there. And so what happens is that we end up following these rules and they become lodged away in our subconscious to the point where we don't even know we're living through them. Now, when we get out of that theta brainwave state, we're set with those rules. So by the age of, say, 7 or 8, we have these set rules that we picked up from childhood, from our parents, from our friends, from society, of telling us who we are, what's going to allow us to succeed, what's going to allow us to be safe. Now, some of these are serving us, and some of these are limiting us. Those beliefs that are limiting us are the ones that are outdated, the ones that maybe, again, have been passed down from our parents, ancestors. We could even go into past lives. And so the practice of theta healing is actually bringing you back to that altered state of theta. Because as soon as you can be in that state of theta, you have direct access to the subconscious mind. And like a supercomputer, like a coder, in that brainwave state, we can locate those beliefs that are limiting us, that are holding us back, the fears, the wounds, the trauma, and we can simply reprogram it instantly. So a lot of us are trying to change our lives through this conscious brainwave state. So that beta brainwave state, we're trying to use things such as affirmations, right? If I say something enough times, maybe it'll be lodged into my mind as a belief. Whereas in this altered brainwave state, you're more receptive to these new programs, right? You go back to that sponge state of, okay, this is actually not serving me. Great, I can get rid of it. We're going to have an update on our computer. Let's bring in a new belief. Now, the beauty about being in this altered brainwave state is that you are directly connected to, as in theta healing, we call the energy of creation or creator. It can be source energy, universe, God, love and light, whatever you want to call it. But you have direct access to that. So beyond just reprogramming your physical self, you're also able to do things past this third plane or physical realm, such as talk to spirits, such as channel your highest self, connect with universal laws, connect with your chakras, see inside the body, all the things that us as spiritual beings we want to do, but we're trying to do through this conscious brainwave state. We're able to do it instantly because we're in this divine altered state. I hope that made sense. I hope that was...
Yeah, all of it makes sense to me. I'm learning a lot about how limiting beliefs is like the only thing keeping us from being unlimited, and that makes a lot of sense because limited, unlimited. But you gave us some examples of how you can reprogram your beliefs through affirmations. Do you have any other examples?
Yeah, so my favorite way is theta healing. I've noticed that is the fastest and most sustainable way to reprogram these beliefs. Another really powerful way could be to, honestly, it's the awareness piece that's going to allow you to reprogram. So a lot of us are walking around on autopilot, unsure of what are those actual rules that we are living by. And because we are unaware of them, we are trying to push through the resistance that we face in this physical world without realizing that, well, I have a program of I'm unworthy, or I can't be successful, or money scares me, a few common ones that I see. So until we have that awareness piece, which is also why I love to use the practice of theta healing or meditation to get deeper into the subconscious, then and only then can you actually make that choice to say, I no longer want to live through this way. I want to choose a new way to live, a limitless way to live.
I like how you put that. Now, you mention in your profile that you're a light worker. When did you discover that you're a light worker?
I discovered I was a light worker when I first started doing this work. So I started because my limitation, I guess, in this physical plane was I had a lot of chronic dis-ease. I had celiac disease, PCOS, adrenal fatigue, chronic inflammation. The list seemed to be endless. And all these doctors in Western medicine told me you're kind of just going to be stuck with it, and this is just how it's going to be. They put that limitation on me. And growing up, I was always that why kid. Like, why is the sky blue? Why do I have to go to school? Like all of these things. So it kind of brought me back to that same place. So why did my body turn against itself? Why is there now a limitation on what's possible for me in my life? Because it was such a night and day experience. And once I found theta healing, it was almost like that key to awaken the part of me that I knew that I always was. Because after one session, my symptoms went down 80%. And now I don't have celiac disease anymore, which if you tell anybody else, they'll say, well, that's not possible. Once you have it, you have it, right? Whereas that's just part of a collective belief. And I realized that, well, if I can do this for myself, what else is possible for me? What else is possible for the conscious collective? And I started to go on this journey of self-discovery, of discovering more about the universe, what's possible, what's out there, and being that guide for others. And that was what allowed me to feel like this is my purpose, right? To teach others that they have that ability to be limitless themselves, to do things that are considered quote unquote impossible. And on that, found out that had very empathetic abilities. It was easy for me to connect with others, their emotions, to see inside the body, things that, again, we're told are impossible or challenging. And that kind of brought me into this space of I'm meant to be a light for others. And with that, I'm also meant to study the darkness that comes along with that light.
Yeah, we'll be getting into the darkness side of spirituality in a moment. Now, when it comes to, well, you brought up some things that actually I wanted to validate. Anything is possible, even if they tell you that you're stuck with something that is uncurable. You have to. It's just uncurable at that point in time, and then until you find that cure or even create it through your belief, that's what's important. Is that you actually create it by believing the power of your belief. You're like, I believe there is a way, and there is. There always is. You have the power to heal yourself. I wrote that down as well, or you can heal yourself. And you consider yourself an empath, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I like to say that I'm empathetic rather than an empath, only because there's so much that goes on around being an empath versus a narcissist when it's the same. An And I say that because as I've done more research on it and I've channeled information from it, an empath and a narcissist are on the same, I'll say plane. And
Okay.
it just depends on how that person was able to channel their trauma they experienced. So one edge or one extreme polarity of it is, now I'm going to be super sensitive to everything around me. The
Mm-hmm.
other end of it is, now I'm going to shut out the world and I'm going to make it about me because that's the only way to survive.
And
So
you
I
kind
like
of
to
want to
say,
be in the middle.
yeah, exactly. So I want to say that I have empathetic abilities, and with that has allowed me to be a better healer for others because I'm able to feel the energy of others a lot more than
Mm-hmm.
someone who may have either not experienced trauma or haven't tapped into that ability, because we all have that ability.
Yeah. We're only limited by the abilities we know,
Mm-hmm.
which is
And our
amazing.
beliefs and what we've been told is possible.
Yeah. True, true. Now, how difficult was it for you growing up to follow your intention or intuition?
I grew up Catholic, so it wasn't really part of our conversation. And I know that I had to do a lot of reprogramming on myself around people pleasing and around trusting that intuition, because as a kid, I would see fairies, I would see figures, I would see spirits. And whenever I would bring it to my parents, they'd be like, no, Emily, you're just, you're not seeing anything. Or I kept telling them, I saw the tooth fairy last night. And they're like, Emily, there's no such thing as a tooth fairy. I'm like, I swear I saw it. And now I know it was probably just a regular fairy. But as a kid, I was like, oh, it's a tooth fairy.
Yeah.
But and I remember a couple of times I would go to family gatherings. This is so common, and I see it in so many of my clients. I would go to family gatherings, and at the end of a party, my parents would say, okay, now go and hug everybody and thank them for your gifts or say goodbye. And when I was younger, part of me would say, well, I don't really want to hug this one person. Like, I just get a weird feeling, like I'm uncomfortable. But again, a lot of parents, especially from older generations, they're unaware of this natural intuitive ability of children that they would tell me, no, go hug them. So it's almost like I was forced to neglect that intuitive ability within me that said,
Mm-hmm.
there's something not right here. And so what
Yeah.
happens is that it gets dulled over and over and over again to the point where you just choose to ignore it. It's not no longer the truth. You have to follow the rules of everybody else and what everyone else wants. And so I was caught up in that belief and that energy that this isn't this isn't real. I'm not actually seeing these things. So I actually didn't follow a lot of my intuition until I went through my own healing and spiritual awakening, that I realized, oh my God, I actually did see a spirit when I was younger. I did see a fairy. And I really had to work through that virtue of trust and embodying that in order to get to where I am today, because of that disconnect as a child. And a lot of kids go through it, unfortunately, because parents don't believe that it's possible, or if it's not the religious way, the Catholic way, and God's the only thing that is almighty, I'll say, then we just don't talk about it. So I
Yeah.
know,
I just want to
yeah.
say, like, because God, the word God, if I break it down, in my
Mhm.
way I break it down is unconditional love,
Yeah.
love without boundaries. And anything that you see as a God is symbolic for those words, because the word of God is the light, you know? So when we say love and light, it's unconditional love. And
Mm.
when you're seeing all these different entities or beings or creatures or whatever it may be, you're crossing dimensions and planes, and you're basically your mind is more open to possibilities, and you can see things that other people might not, because you're on a different level in, like, in attunement in the vibration. And I had a couple of people in the podcast. One person talked about unicorns. I don't know if you ever listened to that episode, but I'm
No, but
actually
I'm
gonna have
going to. I love
yeah,
that.
I'm gonna have him on again. Actually, his name is David Winters, and you should probably check him out.
Yeah.
He talks about fairies as well, so yeah, it's good to connect with him. Um, yeah, I just whatever you have comments on that.
Yeah, and I completely agree. The way in theta healing we call it, as I mentioned before, creator or energy of creation, but it can be interchanged with God. There are some times where I use God and I don't see it as a figure, which I
Mhm.
find that at least for myself and my experience in religion, it is more of a person, right?
Mhm.
Whereas God is love and light.
Yes.
Source energy is love and light. If you want to connect with directly, just say love and light, you can. And I think that when we can get to that point to realize that God is everywhere, love and light is everywhere, it allows our intuitive abilities to strengthen so much easier because we're not now limited by all those religious beliefs, which is huge for blocking us in connecting to spirits, seeing entities, doing all the things that we may want to do, or like the fun side of spirituality. It's blocking us because of the image that a lot of us have based on religion of what God is.
Yeah, because religion, like all religions, in my opinion, well, that I know of, their their focus is on, I mean, they're kind of limited. They're limited, but they do teach good morals, and at least the ones that I'm thinking of, um, and they have a structure to it, which it's kind of more of a guided structure, which is good. It's good. But when you think of spirituality, it's just space
Expansive,
itself. It just
yeah.
keeps going, and it's in all directions. It's like you can there's opportunity everywhere. You can like you want to go over here, you want to go over there, like, and then religious just like you got to go through this tunnel.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through the tunnel if you don't want to.
Yeah, I completely agree. With spirituality, it seems to almost like bring all the different religions together.
Mm.
And it always ends up coming down to love and light, right? With every
Yes.
religion, there's always that one energy of love and light. It's almost like they're each missing their own piece, that in spirituality, it kind of completes the puzzle, as I
Yeah.
say,
The puzzle.
what actually is possible, what's out there, what we're actually made of.
Exactly. Now, I know you're eager to talk about the dark side of
You
spirituality.
can talk about anything. I love this.
Yeah. So what what concerns or maybe not concerns, but like what dark side do you want to shine some light on to bring awareness to the people?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to realize that as light workers, we're all light workers in some way. As a light worker, as someone who wants to be that guide, that guru, that intuitive, that leader for someone else and for the conscious collective, that part of our job is to actually study the darkness. So if we are afraid of it, we're not truly able to be in our light. Because the only way that we are able to be fully in our light is if we understand our own darkness and also the darkness that's out there. Now, it doesn't mean that we have to stay in that space, but it's important for us to allow ourselves to go into that space because only then can we transmute that darkness into light. The same thing when we do the work on ourselves and we reprogram those beliefs. In theta healing sessions, we go down to some deep, dark trauma, whether it's from past lives, from this life. And that is studying the darkness, right? As light workers, we study the darkness. But a lot of us are afraid to go to that place, but still want to ascend and connect with spirits and angels and all the higher entities without going through that darkness. It's almost like they want to avoid doing the deep inner work. I
Hmm.
say it's the lower three chakra work. So feeling worthy, safe, protected, um, anything to do with the lower three chakras. We're afraid to do that work, but we want to open up our third eye because that's the trending thing in spirituality, right? Open up your third eye, activate your pineal gland, see spirit guides, connect with your higher self, all of that, which is completely accessible to you. It is your birthright to be able to do that, but only once you have done the work on yourself, because it's almost like the lower three chakras are the building blocks. So it's what's going to help you move past fear, right? Because if you fear the dark side, it's easier for it to consume you than if you realize that dark and light, again, is on that polarity scale. It's the same, right? It's just the two extremes, and you want to find that middle ground. When we avoid that fear work, because yeah, it's uncomfortable. There are many times where I would spend my afternoons in a theta session bawling my eyes out because you realize something about yourself that was buried deep, deep, deep away in order to protect you. But only through that work could I then embody the virtue of trust to open up my third eye and see sometimes the not so great spirits, right? They're not all bad, but we can be consumed by fear that any spirit that we see, any higher entity that we see, will be afraid of, right? And so we'll shut out that ability the same way our parents shut it out in us as kids.
Yeah, I can see how when we're in these low vibrational states, we're kind of consumed by fear, and it keeps us in these low states. And our objective is to raise our vibration. And can you explain how theta healing can help do this?
Yeah, so because as I mentioned right at the beginning, everything comes down to beliefs and energy. With theta healing, we dig for that bottom belief. So I would have someone come to me and they'd say, okay, I want to connect with spirits. And we'd start asking, well, what's the worst thing that would happen if you were, right? And they'd give me an answer. Maybe I would see something scary. I'd be consumed by evil, which is a huge one that a lot of us fear, being consumed by evil and darkness. And so by reprogramming that bottom belief, now any inspired action that you take is going to be coming from a place of alignment. So a lot of it comes down to the fear of being alone, the fear of being nothing. That if we have that belief, we're going to go into all experiences, whether in this plane or connecting with higher entities, with that feeling that we are alone. If we are alone, we're more vulnerable. If we are alone, whether it came from a childhood experience when maybe our parents left us and we were fearful because we were alone, maybe someone had a really bad experience with an entity as a kid, because that's also very, very common. Because as children, being such light beings, they actually do tend to attract darker entities to them. So maybe it was an experience as a child, something that keeps them in that place of fear. And with theta healing, because we have the ability to both pull out that belief and then download you with new programs, and these programs are usually in the form of feelings, we can download for you now that it's safe for you to connect with entities. It's safe for you to open up your third eye. It's safe for you to explore the darkness. And with now these new programs and beliefs, when you do go into an experience of opening up your third eye, of doing more of that inner work, now you're coming from that place of, well, it's okay because I'm protected. And all of your cells, tissues, and organs are sending out those receptors of safety, of comfort, of protection, of love that can allow you to actually entertain, explore that dark side of spirituality that you once were fearful of.
Yeah,
Does that
just
make sense?
reprogramming the beliefs and having like a foundation so you're not afraid anymore. And like I get anxiety on airplanes, which is a big fear for me.
Oh, let's do some programming on that.
There's some weird programming, you say?
Yeah. Yeah, we should
How
do some
so?
programming on that.
Oh, we want to redo. Okay, now I get what you're saying. So, um, yeah, I would be down. Uh, but I last time I was on an airplane, I actually had like a heart issue. My heart was beating like 3 beats per second which
Wow.
is in like if you do the math, it's like 180. Like
Hmm.
it was really high. I don't know. It was like a complete accurate this number, but it was high up there. I think possible heart attack on the airplane. So it like I just that's one of my fears that I have right now. Um, I believe that I can overcome it. I believe that um time, giving amount of time and like reprogramming my beliefs probably will help. My anxiety has come down a lot since then, which is amazing. I feel really really centered and aligned with my purpose now. Because I like now I'm going to the gym and I used to get anxiety to just go to the gym.
Hmm.
So meditation helps a lot. Um, meditation and gratitude practices and stuff like that. So yeah, what are your comments on that?
Yeah. So when we end up having a physical manifestation, I always see it as this is the last sign from your soul, your essence, your spirit, whatever you want to call it, to get your attention that there's something there within you that needs to be addressed. Because what happens is that, okay, we have our conscious self and we have certain beliefs and certain emotions that we are emitting out. And some of them are favorable, some of them are not favorable. And what happens is that when we start to experience something that's unfavorable or something that's threatening to us, something that we need to address, it will send it through the mental body first. So we'll start having different thoughts about things. And most of the time we ignore them because we're like, oh, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like, for example, if someone says that they're stressed, like, oh, but everybody's stressed. No, this is not a normal thing. We should not all be stressed. That's your body telling you we're in fight or flight mode, right? There's something here to address, but we all ignore that. So what happens is then your soul says, okay, they didn't get the message. We're going to go to the emotional body. And so now we start to experience maybe anxiety, maybe we're sad, maybe we're depressed, maybe we start to have these really self-sabotaging feelings and feeling unworthy, right? Again, most of the time we want to ignore them. So what happens is that your soul, your essence, your spirit says, okay, we got to get this message to this person loud and clear because something needs to change in order for us to continue to move forward, to progress, to change. We're going to put it in the physical body. So then it can have an actual physical manifestation. So for you having an anxiety attack on the plane, me having my digestive issues, some people having cancer, some people having their hip going out or like they have knee problems, all of it is just going, it's the energy that you are not addressing going to the weakest part of your body in order to get your attention. And one of the things that I love about doing the theta healing practice is that we're able to tap into that place, right? We're able to figure out, okay, when was the trauma of whatever this was that's physically manifested now, when was that created? At what age? What chakra is it connected to? What beliefs are being held or holding this energy in place? So if we dug down into your subconscious to figure out, okay, what's the worst thing that would happen if you were on a plane, right? You would go down that rabbit hole and we would find that bottom core energy that chances are came from childhood, that came from maybe a past life, maybe when you were in your mom's womb still, that now because it wasn't addressed and maybe it was your subconscious's way of protecting you, because most of the time it is, we would be able to find that and release that. And next time you're on a plane, you'd be like, well, what's going on here? Why am I so calm? Why is this so easy for me? Because now your receptors are shut off to anxiety and fear around being in a plane, going to a gym, whatever the anxiety comes from. Now it's open to that new energy that we are giving it. So whether it's safety, whether it's love, whether it's feeling good enough, whatever we come down to. So it's almost like turning off certain receptors and turning on certain receptors that will allow you to physically manifest what it is that you want. And this is how manifestation works.
Yeah, I'm understanding a lot because I don't have like I'm trying to get the root cause of why I'm afraid of flying. It's not because of heights. It's not I'd rather sit by the window if I could. like you spoke about, you had digestive issues. I have IBS, but it's managed now. Manageable, or pretty well taken care of. And I had some other health. I have a lot of health background issues, but most of it's pretty taken care of due to the fact that I'm in alignment and I'm raising my vibration. And I did do a lot of the work that is required to heal the trauma,
Mm-hmm.
but I still have some trauma with flying. Um, and I believe that it wasn't even really like, it was more of the timing of what, like, it was like I was facing some karma through my own beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And like, or it could have been like I was just not ready for the experience. So like my intuition, I was more following what I thought I needed to do versus my intuition saying you need to work on this first,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I believe I can fly if I really wanted to. But I have some family members that strongly urge me not to, because they think it's safer for me to stay in what I know I'm good at, such as like I could drive anywhere, I could probably go on a boat, possibly. I know I can, but
Mm-hmm.
they say you shouldn't have flown, but if I don't try, I'm gonna be stuck in the same spot. So
And that's where those beliefs could have come from, right? It could have easily been your family members that, because we hold on to 7 generations of beliefs within us. It could have been the fears from your parents, aunts, uncles, family members that you were actually living through. So it wasn't even your own fear and anxiety coming through, it was the anxiety of everybody else. But you mentioned a really good point as well, that um, how they think that you should stay doing what you know how to do, right? So not venturing out. That in itself could create a lot of anxiety when we do decide to do that, because again, maybe not, you don't have this, but just trends and patterns that I've seen is that if we have an anxiety of, or if we have that belief that it's unsafe for us to venture out, maybe we fear we're going to be rejected if we do. Maybe if we were going to no longer be accepted, we're going to end up being alone if we choose to do something outside of what our parents believe is the rules. So that can cause a lot of anxiety, because your survival self and your highest self are battling against each other of, yeah, but we want to grow. You want to expand. You want to see the world. We want to fulfill our purpose. But the survival self is saying, but we're also going to be alone if we do that. So we can't do that. We're going to be rejected. We're going to be abandoned, whatever that trauma could be, that it creates that anxiety within us because we are breaking past those barriers. So whenever we have something like this, by finding out that bottom belief, and in theta healing, we actually use a practice called the sway test. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this, but it's a practice that allows you to use your body almost like a human pendulum to see what beliefs you're actually holding on to. And then through theta healing, nice. And then through theta healing, once you reprogram it, you then do the same test and ask yourself if you have that same belief, and your body will sway the opposite direction to show you something solid has happened, right? So as soon as you find that bottom belief and you see clear as day that your body's saying, yep, we believe this, that in itself can be enough to free you from continuing to choose that same belief.
yeah, I can definitely relate to what I said earlier about
Mm-hmm.
family members just putting limiting beliefs on us to stay in our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to remember everything that you said here. Um,
I'm doing a lot of channeling, so I can't even help you here of what I've said because
it's okay. It's okay. I Yeah, the channeling. How how does one channel with ease, and how do they channel at all for those who don't? I mean, we're always channeling. Every word we speak is a channel, basically. It's a channel of frequency that we're
Mhm.
attuned with. But for those who have difficulty channeling to like more of a balanced state? How do you get into that?
So I use the theta brainwave state because it is that beautiful divine state that allows you to have direct access. The way I see it is that it almost like opens up all of your chakras. Your crown chakra opens, and there's this complete straight line going all the way up to the universe that allows you to receive this information with ease and grace. It is a practice, though, I will say that, is that
Mhm.
because again, there's that whole trust piece. Am I making up what I'm hearing? Is it actually true? And so, like everything, if you want to learn piano, you got to practice every day, right? When I first became trained as a practitioner in theta healing, I would sit in meditation in that theta brainwave state and channel for like an hour every day and just see what came up, right? At the beginning, things were a little bit blurry. Maybe I get one or two words and I just write them down and say, okay, I'm just going to take it. I'm just going to receive it and see where it leads me. And now I'm able to do it with my eyes open. So before, when I was first practicing, being in this theta brainwave state, you want your eyes closed, right? When you're channeling, you want your eyes closed when you're first practicing it, because as soon as your eyes are open, your subconscious is taken over. Now it's saying, I got to look out for any possible threats in my external world. So there's less of that love coming through and more of that fear. So I would say when you first want to start off, if you want that clear connection for channeling, you want to do it with your eyes closed in that theta brainwave state. And you can simply do it either by following the meditation for theta healing, where we walk you through the 7 planes, or even just search on YouTube theta frequencies. And that will help get you to that place as well. And then just continue to write down the small little things that come through. One of the really important things that I have found through theta healing, though, is to ensure that you're going all the way through the 7 planes of existence to that space of light and love. Because what can happen is that if we only go through certain planes where we can connect with different entities, we're also going to be bound by the rules and laws that are part of these planes that can keep our information and downloads that we receive blocked by ego, duality, and polarity. It's only in that place of love and light that all of that is gone. So that's where we're able to receive the most direct information, downloads, healings that we need for ourselves, our clients, whoever we want to help. Does that make sense?
It's a lot to
Yeah.
take in. So I'm trying to understand it all. But I'm gonna ask you another question
Of course.
about astral traveling, because I'm very interested in how to astral travel. And do we naturally do it when we sleep every night? Do we is there a way to do it easier? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to just directly channel this for you. So I got that we have the ability to do anything. We can walk through walls, we can teleport, we can do all of that stuff.
Mhm.
It's only in the releasing of the chains that hold us down and bound to this physical plane that stops us from realizing the power that we have to do all of these things that are seemingly impossible. So the more work that we do on ourselves to release these limitations, these blocks, these fears, the easier it will be for our astral body to feel safe in leaving and exploring. And the more opportunity we will have and the more guidance we will receive, the more support we will receive from either higher entities, from the energy of creation, to assist us in doing what is considered impossible. So in theta healing, whenever we do decide to astral travel, or sometimes I like to even just, I'm not even sure if you'd call it still astral traveling, because I know that a lot of people astral travel when they're kind of going to sleep, right? Or in that sleep state. But with theta healing, because we naturally enter into that theta brainwave state when we are going to sleep. So this is probably why you're always guided to do it when you're lying down, when you're going to sleep, because you naturally dip into that theta state. With theta healing and being able to choose when we enter it, I have found that I do it through the energy of creation and having creator guide me on where I need to go, and just making the command to travel. Let's go to Italy, or let's go visit a friend. But the same thing as I mentioned before, it does require practice. So the first couple of times you may not go anywhere, you may not really see anything, or you may get one little piece of information. I think it's so important for us to be patient with ourselves as we do acquire these abilities, because it will become effortless and natural for us to be able to travel the world, travel to different planets. But again, it requires us to release that which is holding us back and holding us bound to this third plane of existence.
Yeah, the 3D and the 5D, it's kind of another spectrum that we transition through on a day-to-day, I think. People have different perceptions of how 5D is. But what is your perception of that 5D?
I used to go off of the 3D and 5D a lot when I first was getting into doing all of this connection and spiritual work. And now I see it more as the planes of existence. But with 3D, we are living through our fears, our ego, again, what our limiting beliefs are. And that's how we see the world. It's me against you. With 4D, there's more of that place of, okay, I can see that there's more out there. I can see that I'm able to live through love. We might be teetering on sometimes living through love, sometimes living through fear. Whereas 5D, as I have seen it and being shown, is we are able to see things from a higher perspective. We're able to see things from that place of universal consciousness. We realize that we are all connected, that you and I are the same, right? We've come from that same place, and you are mirroring things in me and I'm mirroring things in you. And we are meant to be together in this time, right here, right now, for a purpose. So we're able to see things in a much deeper and loving space. And with that comes the ability to do more than just working a 9-to-5, more than just being a matter without spirit. With that higher vibration, we're able to do more. And the 7 planes of existence work the same way, right? The higher the planes you go, the higher the vibration is.
Yeah.
So
Do you think there's a limit to the planes, or is it unlimited planes as well?
So with theta healing, there are 7 planes of existence, and it kind of goes with the chakra system, right? And we have the first plane, which is all the crystals, the minerals, the inorganic material. The second plane is the organic material, the plants. When we use herbs, we're accessing the second plane. The third plane is where humans and animals live. The fourth plane is the spirit realm, pretty much. So again, they have the exact same pretty much life as we do, just without the need of a physical body. So they still have jobs, they still have a purpose, they're still learning their lessons, they're just a vibration higher. This is where a lot of whenever we see kind of like ghosts or spirits, they come from this plane. The fifth plane is where we have and the fifth plane has many, 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 many layers. So this can kind of be when we dip into like that 5D, 7D, 4D, all that is probably when people are accessing the fifth plane. And that's where we have come from. So our beings, our fifth plane beings, we're all pretty much come from ascended masters. Some of us have come down here. Most likely you are, because of the work that you're doing. You were actually an ascended master who has come down to help the children of ascended masters learn their lessons, to grow, to heal, to ascend. This is also where we have our angels, our guardian angels, the Council of 12. And then we have the sixth plane, which is the universal laws, sacred geometry, numerology, pretty much all the rules of the universe, if you want to say it that way. And then the seventh plane is the energy of creation, God, love, and light. So whenever I guide my students to connect, to channel, to venture into the dark side of spirituality, to see spirits, whatever, we always do it from that seventh plane, which is, I think, a key piece that a lot of people are missing when they're doing this channeling work, wanting to open up their third eye, connect with entities. They're going directly to those planes. But the only thing is that there are certain rules you have to abide by, right? The sixth plane, if you want to connect with universal laws, which is so much fun, by the way, their energy is such a high vibration that it actually can hurt our physical body if we directly channel them, because it's just, our body can't handle that high vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if we do things from the seventh plane, then we are just witnesses, right? It's not us doing the work, it's us witnessing the healing being done, the connection being done, because we are connecting to that love and light and asking that love and light, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to see a spirit, or I want to connect with my guardian angel, my highest self, other extraterrestrial beings. And now we're almost like protected by that love and light. It's just our consciousness witnessing it rather than us actually connecting. Does that make sense?
It's making a lot of sense. I love how you broke that down with the chakras and the wow, that wakes me up a lot, because
there's a book, if you want to get into it, it's so interesting, you'd probably love it. It's called The Seven Planes of Existence, and it's one of the Theta Healing books and one of the courses that you can take. But it breaks down all the seven different planes, the entities that are there, the beliefs that are keeping you bound to certain planes as well, or can keep you stuck. So interesting. I think you'd probably absolutely love it.
I will definitely pick that up. I'm behind on all the books I have to pick up, because I promise everybody I'm gonna pick up their book. I'll get your book. Haven't got it yet. But I'll get it.
You'll get it in
Yeah,
divine.
I'm just taking my time. Crystals, no, like even the first dimension or plane, sorry,
Yeah.
of existence, they still, everything has equal significance, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You can heal from all the planes. And we all, we naturally use all the planes without us even knowing it, right? Like doctors are using the third plane, but they're also using the sixth plane when they're using ultrasounds and vibration, right? They're also using the first plane when they're using their tools and inorganic material that they use. We are naturally using all of these planes, and being able to tap into these planes can allow us greater healing, greater ascension, greater awakening for ourselves and others.
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense now. And I'm the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me was I'm ascended master, so I'm
Yeah,
kind of
you put
I'm starting to believe it though. I was gonna be like, that's a nice compliment, but I'm not gonna. No, I'm starting to believe it because of the synchronicities that's happening in my life right now. I'm
Mhm.
waking up and I feel like I got a lot of work to do, but as long as I'm working on myself, I'm getting a lot done.
Yeah, it's the most important place to start.
Yes, yes, I'm realizing all this now, but the is it the sixth plane? No, the fifth plane. Angels, guardian angels. Everybody's an angel. Everybody's an earth angel. Well, in their own way. Um, it's just realizing it, you
Yeah.
know, having that awareness and just doing what you love. Now, do you want to explain a little bit about bending time? Because I'm a little bit confused by how
Yeah.
you do it.
Yeah. So again, this probably sounds really repetitive, but I always do it through that theta brainwave state and connecting with the energy of creation. Because when you start to connect with the energy of creation, you realize that you can do anything. You can ask for whatever you want. Every single morning, I ask for my hormones to be balanced. I ask for my adrenals to be balanced, my digestion to be good. I can bless my food. I program all the things in my room, my house, for what I want them to do. And with bending time, it's very, very helpful when you're stuck in traffic. And you simply just make the request to bend time and connect with that sixth plane of existence. So again, this is where all the other planes kind of come in handy. There is a universal law of time, and certain laws are bendable, certain laws are not, such as the law of free will. It cannot be bent and it cannot be broken. There are some entities who like to try, but then they end up getting stuck between the planes, and those are usually the ones that are attaching to us, to kids, because they had ill intentions. So the universal law of time can be bent, and we are living in a third plane reality that goes through space and time, right? If we want to manifest anything, if we try and do it through this third plane, we are limited by time. If we want to buy a house, well, it's going to take 5 years to save up money. If we want to get our dream body, well, it's going to take 6 months of working out in order to be there. When you connect with the energy of creation, you pass space and time. So now you're beyond that. And then you can use time and say, hey, I want to speed up time. I want to speed up time because I'm stuck in traffic and I really don't want to be here. So you can actually make that command, make that request, and it will be done if you believe it. And there are many times where I've sped up traffic, where I've slowed things down, where it's an experience that I'm just really enjoying and loving being in that moment. I'll slow down time so I can just enjoy it longer, right? We can remember our future, which is a really fun thing because it allows us to continue down that path that's going to serve us in the highest and best way. So I've had times where I'll go 3 days out and say, okay, let me remember my future, what happened that day. And then I'll be shown what happened. So when that third day comes, I actually know what's going to happen that day. And I actually did that for when I was proposed to. I didn't know that I was going to be proposed to, but I saw a crystal of some sort and I saw some really happy and loving vibes. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to write this down, but I have no idea what it means. And then I was actually proposed to on that day, and it kind of caught me off guard. And I was like, whoa, I saw this. I knew this was going to happen. So we can connect with the different universal laws. We can pretty much do, I want to say, whatever we want in that space of love and light. And then bending time is just one of the fun things that you can do.
Yeah, I like what you said about creation is beyond space and time. And that's where we're at right now. We're creating. We're always creating. You just have to realize it and then really feel like you're creating. The feeling is more important than
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't say more important, but it's just as important as realizing it, I guess. Well, whatever.
No, you're completely right. You were on that right path. You channeled that, because that's one of the major reasons why people don't manifest, is because we don't actually know what it feels like. So our body can't put us in that situation. And this is where, again, I love theta healing, because we can program those feelings into us. If you've never felt love as a kid, which is actually a lot more common than I would like to admit, if you've never felt that unconditional love, how are you ever going to create a healthy relationship? Because your body doesn't know how to create that love. Same thing with when we want to attract money. If we've never felt abundant, if we've never felt prosperous in our life, maybe we grew up with parents who were poor, how are we going to recreate that? We don't, right? So we are constantly creating, but are we creating out of our fears and limitations? Or are we consciously creating based on what we actually want to create in our life?
Yeah, it's good to believe that we're creating what we need at the right time by working on ourselves. Um, is this part of Akashic record type of work when you're bending time?
Let me ask. So I got no, but you can visit the Akashic records. The message that I got, you can visit the Akashic records if you want to, but it's a different, I guess, practice or different tool you can use to help you on your journey. So I do have some clients who like to use the Akashic records to help guide them in what's the next step for them to take. Right. And we can visit it, see past, present, future, what's coming up, what they need to know. I actually met my baby daughter in the Akashic records. I met her, saw her name, saw her essence before she actually came into my physical body. So it's a great tool as well. And that's access to the sixth plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
But it's different than accessing the universal laws, which is also part of the sixth plane. This is why I love theta healing as well, because it's almost like all the energy healing modalities can be combined in one, because it's just you connecting with source. And when you connect with source, anything's possible.
Yes.
Life regressions, we do astral travel, bending time, Akashic records, everything.
So I'm gonna kind of wrap this up here. I
Yeah.
wish I can keep going, but I have a lot of appointments today. Now, what do you offer on your for your business, like for theta healing?
Yeah, so I do offer one-on-one sessions. That is coming to a close for a bit because I am pregnant and she's due in May. So my baby daughter is going to take up a lot of time. But I also
Congratulations.
offer, thank you. I also offer the trainings to be certified as a theta healing practitioner. So that's where I have the most passion in, is teaching others that they are so powerful, that they can do all this work, that it's part of your birthright. So I do a lot of teachings, and I do offer some courses here and there around, again, channeling, connecting, reprogramming your limiting beliefs. But the courses is primarily allowing you to be certified, is what I focus on.
Oh, so you're training people to be certified?
Yeah. So you can be a theta healing practitioner as well, do this work on yourself, take on clients, all of that.
Okay. I'm gonna have to
I'll
look into
see you in the
this.
next training.
Yeah, I would love to participate. I don't know how much that, if there's a free session at all, or if there's any type of whatever the prices are. I have to look at it. But I mean, I'm learning about exchange for value too, because it's very important
Very
to
important. I love that you
to
mentioned that.
yeah, because you're getting what you pay for, you
And you
know?
get so much in these trainings. Every single person who's left has said it's been life-changing, because you not only learn how to do this, but you also receive healing on yourself. So after, it's only a weekend too. So after the weekend training, you've also released so many limiting beliefs that have held you back as a healer,
Mhm.
as a light worker. In addition to, now you also have this amazing tool that allows you to do so much more than what you maybe thought was possible.
Yeah, I love how you put that. Now, where can people find you? Your website, maybe some social media if you want.
Yeah, so I'm on a lot of social medias, primarily TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, even Pinterest. I just like, keep expanding, but it's at Theta, THEA with Emily. They're all the same. And then my website, Emily Miotto, MIOTTO.com. I also have my own podcast called the Healer's Perspective Podcast. So focusing on helping healers get out of that healer's closet and have a successful business through theta healing. And those are pretty much the primary places which I hang out at.
Oh, that's exciting. I didn't know you had. Well, I think I pondered over your profile and saw that you have your own podcast, which is cool. I get to check it out now.
Yes.
I'm gonna mention my website and socials. It's the-meta-verse.com. And if you want to find me on Instagram or Twitter, you can find me at the_meta_verse. And you'll find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and wherever else people like to share it. It's like everywhere now. Uh, but yeah, I had a wonderful time talking to you, Emily. And
Me
just
too.
stick around for a little bit. We're gonna continue this conversation. But everybody listening, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.